If you love high impact, big blooms, but don't want gardening to be your second job, then you are going to love these plants. Come see. If I was starting a brand new no maintenance garden, I would start with Panicle hydrangeas, but not any Panicle hydrangea. I'd start with Quickfire. I love Quickfire because it's one of the earliest blooming Panicle hydrangeas in my area. And unlike some other Panicle hydrangeas that have really dense flower heads, this has an open flower structure, which means that when it rains, it doesn't get so heavy that it's going to cause the stems of the plant to droop or break. I'm talking about you, Limelight. And here's Kristen's garden tip of the day. If you plant Quickfire with Pinky Winky, which is another beautiful open structured flower, you'll have hydrangea blooms for almost double the time. Quickfire starts the show, Pinky Winky finishes the show, and you'll have hydrangea blooms all season. These beautiful flowers look great on the plant, but they also look amazing in a vase, or a vase if you're fancy. I don't want my garden to peak in 1 week or even 1 month. So I succession plant so that I get blooms all season long. Now, both Quickfire and Pinky Winky are hydrangeas that are off patent, which means they're going to be less expensive, but sometimes they can be a little harder to find. One great way to find them is to check Facebook Marketplace. The other thing that I love about Quickfire and Pinky Winky both is that they are zero maintenance. Forget to fertilize, they're still going to bloom. Cold winter, they're still going to bloom. Don't prune for 3 years, they'll still perform. They'll look beautiful because the pruning is really just to keep the size and the shape that you want. So if you skip it, you're still good. Now let's talk about the plants that are going to look amazing in front of your Quickfire hydrangeas. Whenever friends come to visit, they always comment on my hardy hibiscus because once they start blooming, they have these giant tropical looking blooms, but yet they're super hardy. They come back reliably every year and they require no work. If you've watched my channel before, then you know this is one of my biggest sellers for my backyard business. People absolutely go crazy for them, and I could totally see why. Now, most of these get to be anywhere between 3 and 5 feet tall, depending on the variety that you have. So these would be best in the middle, but toward the back of your garden bed. And the best part is that they're almost zero maintenance. Once these go dormant for the year, you just cut back their old stems because they won't bloom again. And then next year, they will send new growth up from the soil line. So you don't need to keep anything protected during the winter. Now, every year I have people that write to me, whether they've bought plants from me in my backyard business or they've seen my videos on YouTube and they say, my hardy hibiscus died. No, they didn't. They're just fashionably late. So when we talk about succession planting, this is a great example. First, your Quickfire, then your Pinky Winky, and then these explode into bloom and make your garden look unbelievable. On a beauty scale, they are a 10 out of 10, and on a maintenance scale, they are a 1 out of 10. Other than cutting back those spent stems at the end of the year, there's really nothing else to do. Now, you can add fertilizer to all of these plants to get even more blooms, but if you forget, they're still going to perform, which makes them one of my favorites. So what do you plant with your hardy hibiscus in the middle of your garden that's going to bloom before your hardy hibiscus, bloom with your hardy hibiscus, and smell amazing? You guessed it, roses. Hear me out. Now, roses have a reputation for being persnickety, which many of them are, but these modern day shrub roses take all of the guesswork out. They're disease resistant. They're one of the first things to bloom in the spring and one of the last things to stop blooming, sometimes going even past a light frost. They look beautiful all season long. Many of them are self-cleaning and they smell amazing. Now, this is probably the highest maintenance plant on our list today because they do benefit from some rose tone in the beginning of the season to help support their blooms. And they also benefit from a light pruning. But again, if you forget to prune them, their shape might be a little bit off, but they're still going to bloom and be beautiful. So on a beauty level, I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10 because you will see some spent buds. And on a maintenance level, I'm going to give them a 2 out of 10, which is still really good. Some varieties to look for are the classic knockout roses. They were really the first on the scene with the disease resistance and the ease that we see today. But since then, there have been tons of other new varieties like Elegance, Oso, and even Drift. And the good news is, oftentimes you can find these on sale at your local big box store starting this time of the year, or even a couple of weeks from now. You'll often see them for 50% off, and they'll last decades. Black-eyed Susans and Echinacea are both native plants that are fantastic for pollinators during the growing season, but their seed heads are a vital food source for birds like goldfinches and sparrows once the fall comes. Both of these gorgeous plants are beautiful and low maintenance. Again, add some fertilizer if you wish, but if you forget, they're still going to perform. They can take the harsh cold winters, even if you have tons of snow, and they will come back beautiful every year. They come in different varieties and colors. You can see that some of mine here have an eye, and some of them are plain. They look beautiful in cut flower bouquets, and their cheery faces always make me smile. I like to plant these right here by my driveway because they give such a big impact, and all of my neighbors ask about them. These days you can get them in all different colors and even different sizes. Some dwarf varieties are only 2 feet tall, where these gorgeous ones have just exploded this year and are much taller than they've been in previous years. And as you can see, the pollinators love them. One word of caution though, Black-eyed Susans do tend to reseed, and not always where you want them to. I'm okay with some extra free plants, and if they come up in areas where I don't particularly want them, I just dig them up and replant them elsewhere, or sometimes I even pot them up and sell them. But that is a little bit of work. So if you're truly looking for no maintenance, you're better off going with Echinacea. Now my Echinacea are not quite in bloom yet, but once they are, they will look stunning as well. And they do not reseed as readily or as far away from the mother plant as Black-eyed Susans do. I give both Black-eyed Susans and Echinacea an 8 out of 10 on beauty. I give Echinacea a 1 out of 10 on maintenance, and I give Black-eyed Susans a 2 out of 10 on maintenance. Here you can see my beautiful Black-eyed Susans. I have them surrounded by impatiens, but here I have a free plant growing. And if you look in my lawn, you can actually see that they are coming up in the lawn as well. Now, it's not really a big deal because you can just mow them over, but that is one thing to consider. Now, moving toward the front of our flower bed, we have Catmint or Salvia if you prefer a tighter habit. Both of these easy perennials only require one shearing after their first bloom so that they'll rebloom later in the season. You can throw in some fertilizer if you want to help support their blooms, but even if you forget, they're still going to perform and look beautiful. They come back reliably, doesn't matter what kind of winter you've had, and they soften the front of your border in a way that few other things will. Whether you plant Catmint or Salvia, your pollinators will love you for it. And this is another plant that I use in my backyard business. I'm able to very easily propagate Catmint from stem cuttings. If you'd like to fill your garden with Catmint all for free, I did a video on how you could do that. I'll link it at the end. On a beauty level, I give both Catmint and Salvia an 8 out of 10. And on a maintenance level, I definitely give them a 1 out of 10. There are fewer plants that are easier to take care of than Catmint and Salvia. They're mostly drought tolerant once established, so even if you forget to water or turn on your sprinklers, they're still good. But now we need to pair that Catmint and Salvia with something that has a little bit of a wow factor, and for that, you can't beat daylilies. Gone are the days when daylilies just came in yellow or purple. Nowadays, you can find them in so many different colors, sizes, and even shapes with ruffles on the edges of the petals and contrasting throats. They're beautiful. Many of them rebloom and will keep color in your garden all season long and really complement the other plants that they are with in your garden. And honestly, other than dividing them every few years and maybe removing the spent flower stalks if you want to, you really have nothing else to do. They will come back reliably, they will bloom beautifully, and you can even collect their seeds and start new varieties if you feel like it. On a beauty scale, I give them a 9 out of 10, and on a maintenance scale, I give them a 1 out of 10. Easy and beautiful. And because they have such beautiful, lush foliage, they actually help prevent weeds from growing in your garden, which is going to save you time not only on taking care of your plant, but also on not having to weed. win-win. So the goal is not necessarily to have all the plants, it's to have the right plants so that you can spend more time enjoying your garden and less time having to work on your garden. Remember, every beautiful garden starts somewhere. Sometimes it's with just one plant that makes you smile. Thanks so much for spending a little bit of your day with me today, and I'll see you next time when we're up to something in the garden. Have a great day.